All right, well, hello everyone and happy Tuesday. It's digital host A.J. Wuest welcoming you back to Before the Four, the live stream where I go through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. I hope you're all having a wonderful Tuesday so far, wherever you're watching Before the Four today, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, or the 48 Now live stream. As always, thank you so much for watching and spending just a bit of your afternoon here. Now, we have quite a bit to jump into today, so I say without further ado, we go ahead and start things off. And let's begin in the Shoals, where earlier today the Florence Police Department held a press conference with updates to the tragic shooting death of 13-year-old Rylan Calvert. Calvert was shot and killed during what investigators say was a robbery back in March. Officials say Calvert was talked into attempting to rob a man by another teenager, Cameron Finese, at the Southern Oaks Village Apartments when the shooting happened. 17-year-old Finese was arrested and charged with felony murder and robbery. Due to his age, however, his name had not been released until earlier today at the press conference. As for the man who allegedly shot Calvert, he has never been arrested or charged for the shooting. Lauderdale County District Attorney Chris Connolly stated that a grand jury met to determine whether the man should be criminally charged or if he acted in self-defense. Now, the grand jury was also asked to determine whether Finese was legally responsible for Calvert's death. The jury heard from 17 witnesses and concluded that the shooter, who has not been named, acted in self-defense. This means no criminal charges. When it came to the juvenile suspect, the jury found probable cause to believe that he is legally responsible for Calvert's death. He has been indicted for felony murder and will be tried as an adult. He was released on bond with the condition of wearing an ankle monitor. Florence Police Chief Mike Holt says they are transitioning to the next phase to prepare for this case for a trial. And 48's Aria Pons will have more details on this truly tragic story coming up in our evening newscast. But now let's take a look at the weather. I'd say we've reached the dog days now at the tail end of July. But we've been seeing a few afternoon pop-up showers for the past few days. Let's turn over to 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis for what we should expect. Brad?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Another hot day. Severe thunderstorm warning was issued earlier. That storm was not severe, but had some concern that may have a microburst with it. They canceled the warning early. Let's go ahead and take a look at the current radar. What we're going to see is the heat advisory. Now, it doesn't cover 3 counties in far northeast Alabama, but you should still take heat precautions. Your heat index will likely be 103 to 104. It's extremely uncomfortable out there, and it's not going away anytime soon. Here's a quick look at radar. I will let you know this is 3:16 in the afternoon. We do have an outflow boundary that's kind of set up this way, and it's tracking to the west-southwest, and that's the only thing that's really going to trigger new thunderstorms as we go through the evening. Everything's kind of riding around this ridge of high pressure, and there's some very heavy rain and a lot of lightning at times with these, and when they collapse, they could produce an isolated damaging wind gust. But that's about it. Temperatures, 98 in Muscle Shoals. It is 97 in Decatur. And you go farther east, that's why you're not under that advisory, because the rain-cooled air has kind of settled in, but it's still hot. Man, that's miserable. Hottest day of the year by far. 95 tomorrow, 94 Thursday, 93 Friday. May have to work on those numbers. May have to increase our forecast highs after what I'm seeing in the Shoals right now. Have a look at your forecast again at 4, 5, and 6.
And also, don't forget 48 First Alert Weather Extra. That is tonight at 9:30 p.m. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis. He'll be back here in the CTV Center. And he'll have all the latest that he's seeing on the radar. We do it every weeknight at 9:30, so you're just not going to want to miss it. Leave a comment if you do so feel led to. Brad always has a great time with it, so you can watch it wherever you're watching Before the Four right now. But now, heading into a story in case you missed it, did you know that as of May, here in Alabama, there is a text option if you are unable to call 911 in the event of an emergency? Limestone County dispatchers are utilizing that text option. 48's Nick Ballinger with the details.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
It's the one call you know you can count on being answered.
Dialing 911 connects you to dispatchers on the other end in Limestone County in seconds. Now, with the ability to text 911 statewide, Director of Athens Limestone County Dispatch Brandon Wallace says they're using a new motto.
Well, it's always call if you can, text if you can't.
On average, they receive around 100 calls a day, but at least one every 24 hours is a text.
Probably give me the courage maybe to report something that I wouldn't otherwise. I wouldn't want to say out loud in front of you.
Athens Limestone Dispatch was one of the first to use the technology back in 2013, and Wallace has seen firsthand how it's been utilized for the better. Sometimes picking up the phone and calling isn't an option, like one Athens woman who texted Limestone County 911 when she found herself in the passenger seat of a car she needed to get out of. It started with a text to 911 saying her husband was driving drunk. Within seconds, the text appears in front of a dispatcher who's able to text back immediately.
She couldn't really call 911 and say, hey, I want out of this vehicle and they won't let me. She was in a bad situation and was able to text, and we were able to get law enforcement out, get them stopped, and get her out of that bad situation. And
the technology even translates into other languages or pinpoints your location and allows video chat directly with dispatch.
A picture is worth 1,000 words, and a video is as well.
Just the many ways to get help however is needed.
Pretty cool stuff. And now a new market where business leaders are expressing their concerns with a proposed wastewater treatment plant along the Flint River. Business leaders such as TGL Adventures say this will largely hurt their business. 48's Callie Neese reports.
A proposed wastewater treatment plant has both residents and business owners alike concerned about what may happen to their beloved Flint River.
We love this river. It's used daily.
According to the ADEM website, Integra Waters is applying to renew a permit to build a wastewater treatment plant on Winchester Road just south of County Lake Road. The application shows the proposed plant would dump liquid waste into the river. When I asked Integra Waters about it last week, they told me they would be closely monitored by ADEM to ensure the river stays clean. But when looking at the second page of the application, it says ADEM asked them to voluntarily consider pollution preventing practices. Jason Pauls owns TGL Adventures and says this plant would undoubtedly devastate the river.
It would wipe out our business. Who wants to kayak or swim into a river that's being millions of gallons of treated feces poured into it a day?
Pauls, like many others in the area, did not find out about this until it was almost too late. He told me he found out one day before ADEM stopped taking comments from citizens.
Well, I've sent an email just voicing my concerns, and I'm sure there's been thousands of others who have done the same thing. It's kind of picked up a lot of traction online and is spreading real quick, and people are just blown away. Nobody wants this on our river.
I reached out to Integra Waters again today, and they reassured me that all water that leaves their treatment facility is highly treated and disinfected and subject to strict state and federal environmental standards. Reporting in Brownsboro, Callie Neese, 48 News, on your side.
And now we're going to take a quick break, but coming up after the break, digging into the details of an absolutely horrifying story down in Bibb County. Saying goodbye to a rock legend. He's been dubbed the father of heavy metal, and a sweet story you're just not going to want to miss. It's all ahead. I'll be right back in 1 minute. All right, my time is up. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Before the Four. Now, a horrifying story down south in Bibb County, Alabama, where officials say 6 children were victimized by a child sex ring that operated in an underground bunker. Lisa Grain talked with the assistant director attorney on the case. Let's take a look.
This is where authorities say 6 children, the youngest only 3 years old, were victimized repeatedly over more than a year. It's an underground storm shelter near the home of William Chase McElroy, one of the men charged with raping and sodomizing the children, as well as kidnapping and human trafficking.
Inside the storm shelter, there were chairs and beds and things of that nature, and the children were drugged by Mr. Trejos and tied to the bed and to the chair and to a pole. And then people would come and pay money to have sex with these children.
Assistant District Attorney Brian Jones says there could be more victims and more alleged perpetrators. He says the grand jury has indicted a 4th person, but he can't release that name because that person hasn't been arrested yet. But he says we may never know the full extent of the horrors that happened here.
There are some allegations with individuals that we will have a hard time identifying just because we don't know their names. And the children were drugged, according to one of the co-defendants, and so they may not be able to recognize or be able to identify anyone.
Jones says many of these details came from some of the defendants themselves. This has been a tough case for investigators and prosecutors, one they've been looking into since the first of the year.
It absolutely infuriates me, but we have to kind of put that aside and just do the job. That's all we can do.
It could be some comfort to investigators and authorities to know that the crimes these defendants are charged with come with a minimum mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole.
And that was the assistant district attorney down in Bibb County, Alabama. But now, some sad news in the entertainment world once again. Ozzy Osbourne, the frontman for Black Sabbath and rock trailblazer, has passed away at 76. Just weeks after his farewell show, Osbourne is known for popularizing the genre of heavy metal, heavily known for his throaty, growling voice and his bizarre and crazy stage performances. He's had dozens of hits over the years, both as a solo artist and with Black Sabbath, such as War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man, and Crazy Train, just to name a few. The Birmingham, England native was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2006 as a member of Black Sabbath. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease in 2003, and he will certainly be greatly missed. But now, let's take a look at this. Food insecurity is at an all-time high for North Alabama. With the need continuing to grow, one local group is doing its part to make sure everyone has food on the table. 48's Claudia Peppenhorst with more.
Everyone has a role that they can play. Everyone can do something. Everyone can make a difference.
Alex Forsyth was born and raised in North Alabama, which means she knows all too well how food insecurity has impacted our area.
Myself personally, I'm pretty much one bad paycheck away from needing extra support myself. So it just seems like we need to do something to help fill in the gap of need.
That's why Alex has been spearheading the Little Free Pantries initiative in the Tennessee Valley. The idea behind it is simple, but with food insecurity impacting more than 187,000 people in our area, it's having a huge impact.
The idea of the Little Free Pantry is making sure that people have accessible food and hygiene products 24/7. There's no paperwork, there's no requirements.
Take what you need, give what you can. Alex, along with members of her Facebook group, Madison County Little Free Pantries, help keep track of all the pantries and make sure that they're stocked. It all started with just one Little Free Pantry during the pandemic. Now there are 11 across our area, but Alex is doing her part to make sure that number continues to grow.
I've actually had the privilege of partnering with United Women of Color Huntsville this year, so we're reaching out to different organizations and nonprofits to help make sure that they can get pantries started.
You can help make a difference too, whether that's stocking a local Little Free Pantry or even starting one of your own. Alex says it's something she can be proud of every single day.
You look at how high the need is, whether it's with food insecurity or just people needing extra resources for their families, and feel helpless. This is a tangible way that I can know and that other people can know that they're actually making a difference.
Well, now let's head into the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscasts. Following up on a shooting in Decatur, 48's Callie Neese will have those details coming up. Another story you're just not going to want to miss covering Space Day here in the Rocket City. Get those details. And finally, local repair companies partnering with Habitat for Humanity. And these are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss coming up in our evening newscast. And now I think we have enough time for it. We have Facebook fun. That's right, our 48 Facebook question of the day. What was your favorite subject in school? And let me tell you, in kindergarten, was it kindergarten? Maybe pre-K, my favorite subject was probably nap time and lunch and recess. Those were my top 3 favorite. Actually, no, when I was in pre-K, I did not like nap time that much. I was wanting to run around and go on the playground and all that good stuff. But once I got to middle and high school, I would say it was probably lunch and PE. Those were contenders for some of my favorite subjects in school. But let's see what you all had to say. Sleeping, that's what Elizabeth Musgrove liked to do in school. That was her favorite subject. I feel that some days you just got to do it. Thank you for commenting. Ethan said science. Absolutely. Was never my favorite subject, but I think I did like science a bit more than math. And speaking of which, speaking of the devil, Bob and Nikki said organic chemistry, quantum mechanics, advanced calculus, and a bunch of other words I can't really pronounce. I'm going to leave that to you all. I was not a fan of that. Amy said PE, 100%. I loved PE, especially parachute day. So much fun back in elementary school. Cindy said history and literature. I feel that. I like history as well as literature. Larry said lunch. Me and you both, Larry. Absolutely, lunch was an awesome subject. I did not have an issue studying for that class, 100%. Bonnie said English. I like English as well. That was a subject I enjoyed 100%. Thank you for commenting. And then history. Like I said earlier, history was definitely one of my favorite subjects in school. Loved American history, world history. It didn't really matter, but awesome comments today from you all. Thank you for leaving a comment on our 48 Facebook question of the day. And also, thank you for watching. That is just about it for today's Before the Four, but thank you for spending just a bit of your afternoon here. I hope you all have a great night. Enjoy tonight's evening newscast, and as always, thank you so much for watching. You all have a great night.